Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh, my God. Big crash. Oh, my goodness. Half the field's going to get involved.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
That looks a little bit like where we really are here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This is round 7 of Scrap Stock Car Racing Asia Pacific, inaugural truck series, heading to the road course for the very, very, very first time here in Scrap, and it's going to be a very entertaining night of racing. Lots of ring-in drivers coming in and coming back out of the woodworks, and lots of oval regulars or regulars of this series not participating or qualifying right back up in the field, which will mean that the championship standings after tonight will be rather mixed up. Quite a very, very entertaining night of racing one way or another. My name is Jay Kennedy, alongside me in the booth as ever here for Scrap Camera Dance Cam. What a night of racing we're about to have. Road course racing in stock cars for some reason just brings on something really, really entertaining, and it always provides great racing. Even more so at a track like this, one of the most entertaining tracks for road course racing as it is. Throw in the element of some mixed up fields, drivers that don't normally drive these cars, and some experts at these cars out of their element as well. We're in for a real big curveball night.
Yeah, we certainly are. It's going to be really, really interesting tonight to see what sort of racing we're going to have and who's going to come out on top. There's a very, very mixed qualifying order in that you've got a few quicker guys starting down the back and then, or in the middle of the pack, and then you've got some oddball drivers that you wouldn't necessarily think could be quick on the road courses, but actually seem to come alive. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
Here is Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, of course. Mosport, 10 turns around this track. In saying that, 2 of those turns are just flag marshalling points on the back straight. But the run from Moss Corner, the exit of turn 5B, that run all the way down to turn 8 is 1.2 kilometers in length. So it's a third of the lap. The longest acceleration zone, the longest full throttle zone on the track. Huge passing opportunity at the S's on that turn 8 corner, but getting the move done isn't as easy as it looks on paper with how long that straight is. The acceleration required and the uphill nature of that section does deceive the eye a little bit.
And the corner that comes up after that is a little bit tighter than one would imagine, and the track map certainly makes it a little bit deceiving in that respect as well. So you've really got to make sure that you're well and truly alongside the guy or have some form of overlap to actually get the move done if you're going to try and make a pass at the S's. So it's going to be interesting to see if we see any incidents there. Hopefully not, but there's bound to be someone trying to stick their nose in when they shouldn't.
Yep, and the other key corners on the track is the downhill turn 2 Clayton's corner and turn 4 downhill as well, and then aggressively back uphill at turn 5 for Moss corner 5A and B. Can't blame the American corner numbering system when we're in Canada, but using the same style of cornering that we see at a lot of American style tracks. The lowest point on the circuit is the apex at 5A, the first part of that right-hander at Moss corner. Highest section of the track, start-finish line, really big elevation difference too at this track, with it being 51 meters from the highest and lowest points on the track. Yeah, we'll talk about this race though, because we said that we've got a bit of an interesting element to tonight's racing, Cam. Road course racing, for one, always a very, very different style of racing, but the pit strategy is also going to be very, very interesting. Drivers, as always, have that one spare car, always have the 2 spare sets of tires, but the fact that you can get 30 and a half laps to a tank, you're going to see some guys potentially fuel save, and other guys, they're just going to go all out and come in and take a pit stop and take fresh tires. It's going to be interesting to see whether the cutoff for one strategy works over the other, or both are very, very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And no safety car as well to try and save yourself as well if you end up in a situation where you're running a little bit light on fuel and have to coast to the line. So you've really got to manage that fuel as much as you possibly can if you're able to. And if you're not, then just try and go as fast as you can, really, and try and see what you can make out of it.
Drivers are now taking to the grid. Of course, they've got one full pace lap by Motorsport Park, so that will also impact the fuel usage. We'll go through our start grid right now when I click the right button here. Of course, multitask for scrap. Oops, when you click the right buttons. I mean, it's not like I've ever done this. I should be doing better, but there we go. That's the right button. Brenton Hobson will start this one on pole. Matt Danson, though, will start from second. Interestingly, his championship rival, not here, Braden Boulos not here, but there is a ring-in driver from the Logitech G Altus Esports team who we will get to throughout this race as well. Next is Dan Yeaman in position number 3. Fourth is Dylan Burse. We got Byron Phillips and Seth the Merchant. There he is, the ring-in driver for Altus Esports. He will start this race from 6th. Go over the page to Daniel Stevens in 7th. Caleb Hides will start this race from 8th position. Ryan Jones in 9th. Simon Mazzoma in 10th. Then we've got Jaden Russell and Ashley Lee rounding out row number 6 in 11th and 12th.
And then you're going to go over the page to Tim Cornt, who's going to start out of 13th with Colin Bruns up alongside him on row 7 and 14th. 15th going to go to Darren McKenzie to round out the top 15. Dave Douglas is going to start beside him on row 8. Sam Stride and Justin Howe on row 9 and 18th and 17th respectively. Aaron Russell and Matt Bailey will round out the top 20th. Jason Martin deciding to start at the rear of the field, so it'll be interesting to see any positions he's going to be able to gain over the course of the race.
Definitely will be. And as we said, 32 laps ahead of our drivers this race as well. So a decent length race, but not over the top in regards to length for this one. It's going to mean that fuel conservation is probably going to be very, very important in this one here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Big thanks to Aussie Online Gaming as well for their help in getting Scrap underway. Series gone through a couple of rocky weeks, haven't we? Had that strange week where the race couldn't happen, or sort of didn't finish, and then last week we had the race that wasn't because iRacing decided to put a build out when we weren't expecting. So we're back underway again tonight, and we almost thought that we weren't going to be.
Yeah, we thought we weren't going to be with the way the patch was going to be falling, but they've luckily pushed it back a little bit. Have iRacing, so
thanks iRacing.
At least yeah, thanks iRacing. So we're at least going to get this round underway and out of the way finally after a little bit of waiting, and we're not too far away from getting it under green as well. And it sounds like there's actually a few drivers already fuel saving as well, so it's very, very close indeed on fuel.
is. They come through the final corner. Green flag will wave, and everyone looks like they're going to get through it okay, no issues. But I tell you what, it's on for the lead well and truly straight off the bat, with Matt Danson not letting go. As around in the background, look, it's Dan Yeaman having a big moment, and have a look at who's gone off with him. Caleb Hydes has gone, and Simon Mazzomo, as well as there's a secondary incident. And that is a huge, huge one. We have got cars off everywhere. Jason Martin's managed to get himself through, but Dan Yeaman around, Mazzomo around, Ryan Jones around. Lots of cars involved in that one. But at the front, it is still on side by side for the lead. Dylan Burst is watching Matt Danson and Bretton Hobson go at it. And Danson, tell you what, he had the back of that car, Danson, because he was squirmish under brakes as the caution does fly. Caution has come out due to those incidents at the start of the race, and I'd say that is a fairly good decision.
Yeah, that was quite a messy start for a lot of drivers, especially those caught up in that one, the likes of Mazzomo, Howell, Yeaman, and a few others, unfortunately, caught up in that one, so they're going to have to come down onto the lane. But what this is going to do is at least give some the opportunity to get some damage fixed, but also get a little bit of fuel in the car as well. And then everybody sort of just checks up. Oh, he's been assisted, yeah. Looks like it was actually Leah that actually made contact with Bruns, who arguably was actually trying to avoid Jones and get around him, but unfortunately Bruns was beside him, so it sort of ended up with Bruns facing the wrong way, and then Jones being involved, as then pretty much everybody else just piling on it.
And my apologies for not having my mic open during the replay. That was a little awkward, so my apologies for that. Well, I've got it sorted. It was just muted on the replay. That was my issue there, so sorry for that. Didn't miss me talking about too much. You saw what needed to be seen there. Matt Bailey has come in, so he's truck 2 damaged. Coming in and going to use one of his fast repair. He only gets 1. And it looks like everyone else stage, obviously they're staying out because aren't pits till the pit lane opens, which will be this lap. You're going to see pretty much the second half of the field come in. Wouldn't be surprised to see everyone come in and take fuel, at least in the second half of the field, so they know they don't have to fuel save. I think here the teammates of Lear and Russell were pushing and shoving. Actually, Lear pushing Aaron Russell. I'm wondering if Aaron Russell may have blown an engine.
Yeah, I think he may have blown an engine, but it doesn't look like the top half of the field has come in. Mackenzie and everybody else behind have all come in. Bruns has stayed out by the looks of it instead of coming in, but everybody else has decided to come on into the pits and get the cars repaired and get a little bit of fuel.
And you can see there, 0 revs, so definitely a blown engine. Straight in, gets a spare car, away he goes.
I'm actually surprised Jason Martin's actually taken tyres in the stop as well, by the looks of it. Everybody else not really opting to do that.
I mean, you get 2 spare sets of tyres, but the likelihood of everyone coming back into the pits now is minimal. So if you did wear the tyres a little bit with a slide or if you did spin on that first lap, you might as well take tyres because you're going to have better tyres than everyone else that did have that huge slide. Even if it is minimal, any advantage you can get in regards to tyre life is pretty crucial. And Jason is not as bad a road racer as he gives himself credit for. He does underrate his road racing ability, but definitely isn't up to the caliber of the likes of Hobson at the front.
Yeah,
He's not horrible though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's certainly a very, very underrated driver. I think one of the drivers that probably not a lot of people appreciate how good he actually is, I think.
I still remember 2 or 3 years ago, he won the road course Majors 2.4 Daytona, first round. So he definitely does have some road racing ability. If you ask him about his road racing ability, he will undersell himself immensely. We have 29 laps to go when we restart, so it will definitely help the guys that are looking at doing this without stopping. It means that probably will only have to save 3/4 of a lap of fuel now as opposed to a full lap. And lights should come off the pace car this time. But they would have come off last time. Getting an extra lap under caution means that the driver's going to have a huge advantage now in potentially doing this without stopping at the front. Aaron Russell's the lead car that has stopped for something. Him having that blown engine. Ashley Lear, Darren McKenzie, Justin Howe, Jason Martin, Dan Yeaman, Ryan Jones and Simon Mazzomo all had to come in and take either some damage or a spare car. Out of all of those, Jason Martin was the only one that didn't take the fast repair.
Yeah, so Martin very, very lucky to get away with that one in the end instead of ending up with some damage after all that drama that unfolded ahead of him. He was actually weaved his way through it very, very luckily, so he got away with a little bit of luck. Probably found himself a four-leaf clover, but he's at least going to be out there with some very, very fresh tyres. I don't imagine it'll be a big advantage compared to everybody else who's going to be on pretty much the same level as far as tyre wear goes, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it's going to all form out.
I'm wondering if he decided to drop in behind those guys rather than be ahead of them and worry about whether they were going to run him over at the restart. That may have been what he was more concerned about and decided to do that rather than get run over at the restart. Maybe he does underrate his road course ability, but yeah, he's very, very smart in regards to race strategy and decided maybe that was a better option for him long term because he'll be thinking about championship points, knowing that Braden Boulos isn't here tonight. Good chance to get himself consolidated into the second championship. And if something happens to Danson, he'll find himself in the lead of the championship, depending on where he finishes the race. So finishing is going to be crucial for him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He'll be wanting to be a little bit conservative here to try and manage that points gap and make sure he's not going to end up with any sort of drama, especially with where he is in the championship, and going to be gaining a spot on Boulos as well, or some points on Boulos as well. So we'll see how this is going to go for Danson and whether he's going to be able to get something going. But green flag is back in the air in a very, very equal start from the front row. Danson's going to have the inside for turn one as they head on in. Hobson, though, going to try go around the outside, and he might just be able to hold on, and he does. He's going to have the inside for the following corner.
Nice move there from Brenton Hobson, and already starting to check out a tiny little bit. He's basically done the exact same thing back to Matt Danson. That's what Danson did at the start. Danson did take a little while to get the lead. Of course, they were pretty much side by side with an entire first lap, even though we didn't really see too much of it. All of the incidents going on back in the field. Interesting little battle here between Byron Phillips, Dylan Burst, Caleb Hydes. Remember, Hydes was off in the dirt at the start of the race as well, so on a little bit of a recovery as well as Colin Bruns and Aaron Russell back in the field side by side here, 27 and the 111. Colin Bruns, I'm surprised coming to the pits because remember he was facing the wrong way as well. We're going to go 3 wide down the Mario Andretti straight.
Yeah, it's all going off down further back in the pack with a couple of drivers all trying to weave their way on through and gain a few places. Lear, Russell, Howe and Yeaman all trying to make their way back forward towards the front of the field after having to come in into the lane, as that's a big slide and wiggle for Howie on the way through turn 8. Somehow gathers it back up, parks it in front of Aaron Russell, who's going to have nowhere to go. Yeaman's going to try and drive it around the outside of Russell. He gets a little bit loose, and this is checking up everybody behind.
Definitely is. Big check up back there. On board with Ryan Jones. Apologies for the couple of audio issues there, but we've sorted that. Currently in 17th position, but tell you what, coming up that little chute between turns 1 and 2 and seeing trucks side by side ahead of you, I think that is one of the most scary moments at any track, because you know that it's likely to go wrong at that spot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and you don't know what's going to happen ahead of you as well if you're a little bit further back down at the road. So you're really hoping that everybody ahead has a little bit of common sense and their heads screwed on, so that you don't end up running into a massive track blockage and a sea of cars ahead of you as well.
Run down Mario Andretti straight away. Jason Martin and Ryan Jones side by side, two drivers that are very, very familiar to each other. Race with each other quite a lot, have these two. Bouncing it off the curb though, Ryan's not a great idea. He's control of it though. Go back up the front though, because Dylan Burse and Byron Phillips side by side. Burse holds onto that position for now. Wannabe Hilux. Caleb Hyde's not too far behind him. Jaden Russell as well. He'll be one to watch in this race. Another driver that underrates his road course driving ability. More see him racing dirt and ovals, but he can wheel it on the road stuff as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's certainly a very, very good pedaler on the road side, and certainly is one to be fed with as well on the oval side currently, with it the way that it's been going in the series for him. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen tonight as Russell right on the tail of Hydes, who doesn't get the best run, clips the inside curve and wheels, spins the rear wheels up a little bit on the exit of Moss Corner, so that's going to be vulnerable to a possible attack from Russell. We'll get a virtual racing score replay of what's happened here between Burse and Phillips, and Phillips just sort of getting the elbows out a little bit and just shuffling Burse out of the way a little bit to gain at that spot and move into fourth.
To be fair, Dylan Burse was off the track a little bit. He did have both wheels up on the curb, and we're having a little bit of a discussion around how this rule book should apply for road racing, and that's Justin Howe around. Is he going to get himself clear of everyone? Zomo takes the grass, Matt Bailey takes the grass, and he does get clear. There was definitely contact between he and Dan Yeaman, but one of the things I was about to say is the rule book for oval racing, or sorry, stock car racing on road courses is very, very different to a normal rule book that is applied for racing on road circuits. Now, I saw there that Yeaman was a little bit squeezed by Howe. Normally the rule book for road course racing in stock cars would be that the fault of the driver to come across and chop the nose, they're the ones that are going to end up with the penalty or penalising themselves because they've created the contact. That there, you see, Jaden Russell around was their contact. Nose to tail contact, that's where you're going to find yourself trouble, but chop someone else's nose off, that's when things are a little bit different, I think.
Looks like he's done it on his own, actually, no contact at all, so he's just slightly nudged the wall and he's managed to avoid too much damage, but he's dropped down the order quite a bit as well as a result of that spin. He's ended up all the way behind Matt Bailey, so well outside the top 20 now, and really going to have a lot of work to do from here.
Yep. Matt Bailey's the last one. It looks like Sam Strider was dropped out of the race and come into the pits under that lap 1 portion, but unable to rejoin the circuit for some reason. Matt Bailey has rejoined issues early on as well. He has got a lap down, but he has reclaimed the track. Battle here, this is Panther. Oh, that's a car dropping down the timing sheet. Tim Courts off the circuit.
Yeah, just ran a little bit wide on the way through there, and as we know here at Mosport, if you drop 2 wheels off in the dirt or run a little bit too deep, you're going to be finding that you're going to be losing spots very, very quickly, because it's very hard to recover the car after you go off the road, and Brun's off the road as well at Moss Corner. Not sure if there was contact there, doesn't look like it was, just another self-inflicted mistake there by Brun, so he's going to lose more positions as well.
Dave Douglas also just lost a spot there to Ashley Rear. Did a similar thing to what we saw Byron Phillips, Dylan Burse have happened before, and now here comes Damon looking to get up the inside, and does, and Dave Douglas struggling a little bit at the moment for rear stability by the looks, just not gripping the track like he should be confident with, because it's definitely struggling in the rear there. Wondering if he's hyperheated the tyres, struggling there.
Yeah, very, very possible that he's ended up just overhitting those rears just a little bit too much, and as a result he's struggling with some traction at the moment, and he might lose another place here if he's not too careful to Mackenzie, and around he goes.
It's pretty much what we were just talking about before. Rear stability was what he was struggling with. Mackenzie now struggling too. A little bit of ground there. I'm wondering if Mackenzie's actually checked up to try and redress, but I don't think Mackenzie did a huge amount wrong there, really. A little bit of contact.
I don't think he really played a massive role there. Yeah, I don't think he didn't even touch him. He just drove around him and kind of... I almost want to say he actually helped Douglas get faced back the other way, because you look at the way that he goes in, and Douglas is already well and truly out of control by the time he even gets there.
Just lost that ground, just being off the circuit a little bit. And I think he ummed and ahed about whether he needed to address something, and then decided, no, I'm going to push on. I mean, he did need to address, I'm sure we'll get told later on in the week. Race control have decided that he probably should have done a little bit better, but I think he might be okay in that situation there. As you said, he probably helped Dave Douglas face the right way a little bit quicker. Watching here Caleb Hydes, who's doing a very good job here, not too far behind Byron Phillips. He's closing in. The last lap they were very, very identical for lap times, but that gap has definitely closed up as Burse has pulled away. And the interesting one there too is Dan Stevens is not far away, so they're closing up.
Yeah, he certainly is, and Stevens walking a little bit squirrely on the exit of Moss Corner, but Stevens has been very, very quick in these last few laps compared to these two ahead of him, who seem to be struggling a little bit, as Heights is going to try and go around the outside on the way down towards turn 8, and I'd say that move is going to be well and truly completed before they even get to the turn in. Byron Phillips trying to hold on to the position, goes a little bit deeper than Hydes on the brakes through the S's. He's going to try and hang it tough around the outside, try and have the inside for the following corner, and he's just going to be able to do it, but he's going to struggle to get the power down, and as a result, Hydes is just going to get a nose over him, but he's barely cleared him and taking that position off him.
Beautiful move there in the end from Caleb Hydes to get try and pick up a replay. Something that happened back in the field a little bit. You can see just behind here, Ryan Jones, Simon Mazzomo, and there's contact between Mazzomo and Mackenzie. Mazzomo sliding around, he does hold on to it, but Mackenzie squeezed a little bit below the white line, and Byron Phillips is now around, so we need a couple of replays here.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened to Byron Phillips, whether that was done on his own or whether that was contact, but we'll find out very, very shortly to see what's going on there. Coming up over through turn 2, and quite sure what's happened there. He's just got very, very loose all of a sudden and just lost the rear end. Does look like he's just ever so slightly touched the grass on the way out of turn 2, and as a result that's sent him around. And then Jason Martin and Aaron Russell getting together as well through Moss Corner. Actually, there actually wasn't in much.
Yeah.
Touched the grass, yeah.
That was what I was wanting to get to a replay while we were watching that battle between Hydes and between Phillips and Hydes before. That was what I was wanting to try and get to a replay of, because I wanted to see how Jason Martin had lost that spot. Jason Martin now finds himself in the top 10, Aaron Russell in 9. Bretton Hobson checked out at the front. He's now full 1.5 second lead over Matt Danson. Seth the Merchant, the second of the Altus Esports team, off in third position. Dylan Burst in fourth. See Tim Corn having issues. Second to last corner. Hear the witness marks there on the track. Need to find out whether they were assisted or not. I'm thinking not. But Tim?
Yeah, I'm going to say that there probably is its own ones. That's very, very odd. I don't think I've ever seen a car get loose through that corner like that. So unfortunately, he's just lost the rear end and had to back it up and carry on. Zomo just in the background coming on through to gain a position back off him. But Eamon and Leah also still going at it a little bit down the order, currently fighting between themselves for 7th and 8th, just inside the top 10. Yeaman not quite able to get the run on Leah, but gets very, very close under brakes, but no move going to be happening.
It's going to be a very, very good battle between these two. Very, very good road course drivers, both race abnormal cars, I'm going to say. They're not the traditional V8 style drivers that you see that come in and be ringers in road course racing on oversized. Both enjoy driving Porsche. They both enjoy driving things that not everyone would enjoy driving on iRacing as well. Ash drives the old retro Audi a lot, and finds himself pretty much driving everything but the V8. We're going to have a pretty interesting battle here. This is the highest up battle in the field, and you can see as we approach the halfway point of the race, higher life starting to become a factor. Both getting huge slides coming out of turn 3.
Yeah, Tyler's certainly going to be starting to become a thing as Yeaman struggles to get the power down on the way out of turn 7. And definitely can see that there's some form of struggle as far as tyre wear goes. I am very surprised that Matt Danson at the front hasn't actually tried to have some form of a go at Brenton Hobson, but it could be due to the fact that he is trying to save his tyres a little bit more than Hobson is. So interested to see what's going to happen later on in the race, as Martin still going at it with Aaron Russell as they head down towards the S section of the final 2 corners, single file at the moment, and Ryan Jones isn't too far away from being in this battle as well, so this is going to quickly become quite a little train going on for these positions.
Jaden Russell in that pack 2 trying to get some spots back after those issues we had earlier. We've got Russell, Martin, Jones, McKenzie, and brother of the Russells, David Variety. Very, very interesting. Back as Gaiman's back on the tail of Ashley Clear as well. Just for a little bit. Mason Martin looks ready to bounce. Also ready to bounce. There was Jaden Russell. Almost got the move done.
Yeah, nearly got the move done, but quite ended up getting it done. He's going to try and get around the outside, or maybe not. He's going to just try and take a slightly different approach to the corner and set himself up for a possible run down the back straight and try and get a move done, sets himself up for a bit of a run. But further forward, Yeaman and Lear going at it. Yeaman's going to have easily cleared Lear now on the way down at the back straight, so position gained it there for Yeaman.
Comes Jason Martin to get the spot back on Aaron Russell, but he lost not that long ago. An interesting call here. This is what I was wondering, whether it would or would not happen. Seth the Merchant from 3rd position has decided, nope, my life is bad, I'm coming in for some.
Yeah,
Dylan Burst also in. I'm surprised by this call.
Very interesting call, especially with the fact that we're only just at halfway, so fascinating to see what's going to happen here. I do wonder if the tyre drop-off is actually that much as well. Hobson's running 23s, low 23s at the moment, so say that the drop-off has been massive just yet, but wait and see what Demerchant can pull out of the hat.
Oh, contact between Jones and Martin. Jaden Russell trying to avoid making contact. Jason Martin ends up just clipping the ball. Ryan Jones did make contact, but was it all his fault? Go back and have another look at that because we were too busy watching what Seth the Merchant was doing. See what really caused that incident.
Just looked like possibly just being a little bit over eager was Ryan sticking his nose in the middle of the corner, but we get a proper look here as looks like Martin just runs a little bit wide, and as a result Jones possibly sees an opportunity, but the closes a little bit too much, and unfortunately Martin ending up being centre under the wall in a way while recovering, so not exactly what he's going to be wanting.
Parts of that too, I think actually hit the curb on the inside, which forced him to check up. Sorry, Aaron Russell, I should say, hit the curb on the inside, which then made Jason Martin had to check up, which forced him wide. So I think Jason Martin, if anything, Jason Martin has probably been too gentlemanly and then got hit from behind because of it. So unfortunate for him. Go back to the front because Franklin Hobson to Matt Danson. That gap has stayed very, very stable between 1.5 and 2 seconds. At the moment it's 1.7. Last lap by Matt Danson was quicker. And of course we need to watch this man right here. Seth the Merchant, currently 31 seconds back. Got 31 seconds to gain. 16 laps. You can see on that windscreen banner as well. There's a Road to Pro. Seth the Merchant running in the iRacing Road to Pro series. Currently finds himself inside the top 70. At the moment, like he will make it into qualifying series next or later this year on the road, make it into the Coca-Cola eNASCAR iRacing series.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how he's going to end up going, and whether he's going to end up being in the very, very prestigious and renowned Coca-Cola iRacing series. Obviously, the Wizard of Ultra Esports have put in a lot of effort to try and get a few of their drivers in. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few weeks and the next few months as well.
Pretty cool to see how far that series has come to over the last I think only 3 years ago the whole world was excited by that series and the fact that it was for $10,000, and this year it's for $300,000, $100,000 for the championship winner, $500 just for winning the race each week. So huge prizes for the guys, and it's been really, really well received, the Coca-Cola eNASCAR iRacing series, and lucky enough to actually work as part of the production crew on that. It is rather fun to be a part of. Darren McKenzie's got some pace on the way. Look how much he's gained on Aaron Russell.
He's got a massive amount. He was a number of tenths quicker, about 8 tenths quicker last time by, compared it to Aaron Russell on that last lap. So he's got some very, very good pace as McKenzie at the moment, and we'll certainly be looking to try and add another position to the lot he's already gained so far in this race.
Behind Ryan Jones has got Jaden Russell and charging Seth the Merchant coming on through. We'll get a lap time comparison in a little bit, but he's currently got that down to 30 seconds between himself and the race leader Brenton Hobson. Tyre drop off in these on both road and oval is a little bit more extreme from what we would see in the likes of the V8. We will see a lot more drop off as this run continues, and there won't be much left in the tyre by the end of these races if they do not come in for tyres. I'm guessing that's why the Merchant decided to come in. Not that he was losing ground or the drop off was extreme at the point he came in on lap 16, was that he knows how bad the drop off is compared lap 16 to lap 32.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of drop off. Currently, doesn't really look like there's been a lot of lap time drop off for the lead guys just yet, so they've still been doing consistently low 23s. Have Hobson and Danson, but it'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen in, say, around 10 laps time.
Yep. To get down to say 5 to go, we'll see a real big difference if we say that the Merchant will be doing the times that we're seeing Matt Danson do on that last lap, which he's actually got the gap down under a second. He did a 23.2. We may see the likes of the Merchant doing those sort of times. We might see the like of Hobson and Danson doing 24s or 25s. There's just a collision sound, and there's a collision between Aaron Russell and Darren McKenzie in the run into turn 2. The Merchants just got through, but Jaden Russell off the circuit, and he's stopped in the middle of the track, and there's been a huge incident.
Yeah, it's been very messy. Not quite sure what's happened there. We'll need to get a Virtual Racing School replay. Ta-da, just like that, there's magic, and we've got one, so we'll see what's going to happen. That was a big incident for Aaron Russell. He's already bounced off the wall, and then as a result, everybody else has sort of followed on, and not quite sure what happened to Jane Russell. I think he got hit. He just had nowhere to go when McKenzie spun as well, so... We're not quite in England, but not quite. Oh, she's been hit back by Dylan Burst as well.
Again, minding his own business. Makes contact with Jaden Russell. Was reversing back, but I don't think reversing back into sort of rolling back. Probably a little bit shaken up by the fact that it shot backwards like he did. Merchant made it through that one. Just as did Ryan Jones. Dylan Burst has also decided to come in with tyres straight away after that incident. He just come out getting some tyres. Got to come back in.
So that stretch is not quite gone to plan for him, unfortunately. Not the way that he will have hoped to have had it go at least. So is it going to be probably a little bit frustrated that that result could have been what was a result that could have been with the way things were going, but Stevens is still slowly catching pies. This is going to be very, very interesting to see how this battle is going to end up forming up, especially later in the race. It was about just under 3 tenths quicker was Stevens last time by, so the gap is coming down, but not at a large rate.
And being back watching it more than trying to counts and make a move at the stage. Feeling like that. Merchant there now at the traffic the way you would have expected it to do. He's only got 11 laps in that game, 30 seconds, but he's just set his personal fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, he's done a 22.496 compared to the likes of Hobson and Danson who were doing 23.3, so nearly a second quicker per lap compared to the front runners at the moment.
Look at the time he lost though, lap 19 and 20, he was stuck in that traffic. Lap 20 was the incident lap, and lap 19 he caught up to the back of those guys, so definitely got the pace when he could be around. What he can do over the couple of laps. Held it on the track then, literally just. To see what Hobson and Danson do. On them. On the go. Stable at that 1 second margin, but I'm concerned that Hobson is going to be using too much tyre to hold off Matt Danson. Matt Danson using too much tyre to try and keep up with Brent Hobson.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could be a very big possibility with the way that things have been going over these last handful of laps. I'm interested to see what's going to happen later on, and whether we might see a very, very feisty battle for the lead, and whether we might even see the likes of Hides and a few others possibly catch up as a result of what may or may not transpire in that lead battle as well.
The big slide there for Matt Danson coming out of Moss. Sterling Moss, who would have a little bit of a say in that section of the track. He came in for the asked him a little bit of a guidance on some of the sections of the track, and he said, why don't you just loop that around there, and helped him design the original track, and he named that corner of Pacific after him. And it's pretty straightforward when you see a corner named Moss Corner of the racetrack that used to race Formula 1. You're probably going to assume that it's named after Sterling Moss, if you were wondering. I don't know who Clayton is though, for turn 2.
That might be a Ask Reese question, that one.
For Reese.
On today's track file. But yeah, it's very, very interesting to see how this battle, well, it's technically not really a battle, but Russell's been just sitting in behind, patiently waiting behind Danson and Hobson, and also Martin's not too far off back as well. He's running 14 spoke last time by as well compared to Russell, so Russell might be being held up here by these two, obviously newer tyres, and the two are ahead of him, so interesting to see if he does try to maybe overtake them at some point, or whether he's just going to sit behind and wait and possibly risk being overtaken by Martin.
The thing is, these two are for position as well, as you said, again, Jaden Russell, Jason Martin, that is for position because they came in, get damage fixed, get new tyres after that. It's all at Clayton's corner not that long ago, so taking a position. And England, it's flying at them. Pole start. Very quickly on the back here of Daniel Stevens. Daniel Stevens, not that long ago, was on the back of Earl Hyde. I just noticed that on my live timing, it says that someone's lost ground on this lap. And Daniel Stevens has lost 1.5 seconds in this lap. I've got a feeling if we go back to a replay, maybe get something done. Dan Stevens has run wide at Moss.
Happened where he has, and there is almost the clear. There's almost the clear evidence, but see,
there we go.
He's probably run wide on the previous lap.
This, like this corner in this lap. In the hill. Where's the apex? Where's the apex? No, that's not the apex. And I'll tell you what. He is so lucky because every time I've ever done that at the track, I found myself in that wall. And Cam, I reckon if I asked you that question, if you've ever done that, you would say no. Every time I've done it, I've ended up in that wall.
Yep, pretty much. And I think every time I've ever seen a car drop 2 wheels into the dirt there, I've seen it just decide to part ways with the asphalt and decide it's going to turn itself into a spinning top. So he's done very, very well to be the lucky man that he is and keep that thing going in the right direction and then get it back on the racetrack as quickly as he did. So very, very lucky is Daniel Stevens there, and he'll continue to try and hound away at the back of Daniel Yeaman's car, but Matt Danson is still continuing to try and make something happen on Brenton Hobson. Lap time difference slightly in favour of Brenton Hobson by just over a tenth, but it's very, very close between those two.
On that Clayton's corner there for Dan Stevens, I don't think I've ever seen a car that's got 2 wheels off and then not turned it into 4 wheels off, let alone not end up in the wall. He's done a great job just keeping us 2 wheels off the track. Danson last lap by wasn't 10 slower, but these guys are, well, these 4 in this group here, of course, this is first and second, and 11th and 12th, are all very, very identical for pace. In comparison to Seth the Merchant, pretty much the same lap time last lap by Hobson, Danson, the Merchant, Russell, Jaden Russell that is, and Jason Martin, almost all of them the same lap time. So no real advantage for Seth the Merchant at the stage. Wondering if he's now regretting that decision to come into the pits.
Yeah, you do have to maybe wonder if that was a little bit of a wrong strategy call, but there is a possible school of thought that these guys might not quite be safe on fuel, because while we did do a few laps under safety car, the amount they would have saved wouldn't have necessarily been enough to save them. So it'll be very, very fascinating to see what's going to happen, whether we might see everybody dive down onto the lane very, very late to get a splash of fuel, and whether it might just work in the Merchant's favour.
That may have been the reason why the Merchant decided to come in, was he knew that he wasn't going to make it through. Hello to Reese Gardner, Southpaw Racer, who is watching. The question we had was, we know how Sterling Moss, the corner named after him, but why is Clayton's who is Clayton? As here comes Hobson, big error, Matt Danson into the lead.
Yeah, very, very good. Or for the briefest of moments, as he gets a little bit squiggly down the straight there into the gutter, and that's going to allow Hobson to draw back up alongside on the outside on the way down towards turn 8. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. Is Hobson nearly coming together? Nothing in it between the two of them. He's going to have the inside for the following corner. Is Hobson, but Danson's going to hang it tough around the outside and have the inside for the final corner. And Hobson going to continue to hold the outside. He's going to be on the outside for turn 1 when they come through this time. By still side by side down the front straight, and side by side on the way into turn 1. If Hobson can hold around the outside, he's going to have the inside for turn 2, and he manages to do that barely. And he's just going to be able to take the lead off Danson, although Danson runs a little bit wide and he's off the road, and he's just going to barely hold on to that one and not end up in the wall, but he's going to have lost a massive chunk of time.
Yep. Lost around about 5-6 seconds. The news for him is Caleb Hyde's a long way back, but that's hurt Matt Danson's chance of potentially winning this race. Hobson also lost a huge amount of ground, and you know who would have been happy about that was Seth the Merchant. Big chunks of time out of those guys there. The Merchant actually comes up on Ashley Lear for a potential pass. Lear did pit on lap 2, but did not take tyres. Ops will struggling a little bit, and probably will give this spot up quite easily, knowing that the Merchant reached full tyres. Now that Matt Danson's made that big error and is off the circuit, what will Danson do? Does he know that his tyres are hurting too much to try and hold on to this position? Or did it push on? Losing ground, and he's still not up to speed. Driving at 95%. I think he's realised that his tyres are struggling. He's just got to hold on to this position ahead of Caleb Hyde, which is 11 seconds.
Yeah, I think the big telling point is going to be, what's the lap time going to be on this lap for Danson? Is it going to be of pace, or is it going to actually be a few seconds slower than the likes of Hydes and that and a few others are doing currently? That's going to be the telling point. It'll be interesting to see if it's actually that much slower, that he's actually saving fuel in the process. So it'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen on this lap. I think if you're Danson as well, at this point there's no real point trying to push and trying to catch back up to Hobson, who's well and truly up the road as well, with the fact that your tyres are probably well and truly shot. It's just all about trying to get the maximum points at this point, especially with the fact that he's got a nice big buffer back to third.
Merchant now right on the tail of Ashley here. He will likely not defend too hard. He'll defend the spot, but he won't defend too aggressively. He'll know that the Merchant is on fresher tyres, but he won't make it easy for American.
So it won't make it easy at all. And he'll make him work for it in the end. Obviously knows that he's probably going to be fighting the losing battle against a Goliath who's on brand new tyres, I guess you could say, but with the wait and see what's going to happen. He's not got many laps to actually hold him off, so could it very well be that he might just have enough in the tank to be able to hold on to this position from the Merchant.
Another thing you saw about there was that tank. Beer did take a splash of fuel when he came in on that, so that would be enough to get him home. They've got around about 30 and a bit laps of fuel. Hit it on lap 2. That's the 2 laps of fuel he needed to get it full race. So yeah, got enough fuel in the tank is actually here to make it home. Has he got enough tyre to be able to hold off 57 of Seth the Merchant? Very, very intense battle for 3 laps, 2.5 laps. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Mosport. Still struggle to call it Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's still Mosport, always will be. But those tracks that you always hear that have had name changes just sponsorship or whatever reason, whatever name you were familiar with the track being first is the name that you will always give it for your lifetime. How many people still call Barbagallo Wanneroo? How many people on iRacing still call Sonoma Infineon Raceway when it was sponsored by Infineon? I know I do.
Yep, I do. Just my age, but I think it's the same about Laguna Seca as well. I think a lot of people still refer to it as Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca instead of WeatherTech. I think WeatherTech's just a little bit too weird now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. Mazda Raceway always seem right. WeatherTech is too long. Having that extra length in. And the thing with Mosport, it's still got Mosport on the sign there at the bridge, so I mean, it's still called Mosport. They have got one change to do a bit wide there for you, but he's going to hold on because he's on the inside in the pontoon. As long as he can get the apex, should be okay. And 5 is probably going to be the point. Struggle. See the tyre life really starting to play a factor now because he's really struggling to get the foot down. That corner exit is Ashley Lee. He's going to be sitting duck, you would feel, to run out of turn 5, out of Moss, all the way down the S's at turn 8. Very, very struggling. There we go, we got an answer from Reese as well. It was dedicated to the first general manager of Mosport and long-standing president of the Canadian Drivers Association. Yeah.
There you go.
Let's play this corner. Thank you, Reese. Reese always knows where to find the answers if he doesn't know the answer already. Last lap of the race, white flag is in the air for our leaders, that being Brenton Hobson, Matt Dancy, Caleb Hydes, who has teammate and Dan Yeaman closing in, but it's probably too much to go in the race. Just noticed too, Jaden Russell's had a pull ahead of Jason Martin, but we're going to stick with this because this is a very, very intense battle. This is 31 lap hold tyres, 32 if you include pace lap, versus 16 lap hold tyres. Will Lear be able to hold on? Tell you what, I think the answer has just been decided. Or maybe not. Lear just gets clear into turn 2 and is going to actually pull it up and make the apex.
Oh, here we go. It might be another move up the inside, is it? No, not going to happen this time for DeMerchant, and Lear's just going to hold on, although he might have the traction. Will DeMerchant on the exit of the corner. Lear drives it right out to the exit curve to try and hold on. It's going to be side by side on the way down towards Moss corner, but DeMerchant's not quite going to be able to get it done on the way into Moss, although there's the mistake that he might have just needed, and he's going to get up the inside of it, Lear, but coming through at the final corner is going to be your race winner, who's done pretty much everything he needed to do and held off a charging Matt Danson. Hobbo is going to end up winning the race. Danson's going to bring it home in second, with Hydes rounding out the podium. And it looks like Lear is not going to be able to get it done. Has he actually run out of field? But it's, I think he has, and it's actually been a swap. No, he hasn't been a swap between the two drop bear cars. Yeaman nearly got there in the end, but wasn't quite enough. So unfortunately, not going to be happening there. But Lear's amazingly actually run out of fuel. I didn't think that was going to happen with the fact that he took the splash of fuel, and Jones might just actually gain the position here. I'm going to say that he is probably just going to run out of time, but it's going to be very close. But he's just going to get him in the end. I think Matt Bailey will as well.
Bailey was a lap down, so you're a little bit lucky in that. I'm surprised in that too, because when he did come in to get that fast repair, he did take that splash of fuel. No issues with fuel. This man to give Brenton Hobson back to flag victory, other than the pass at Moss Corner in lap 1, just before the yellow got thrown. Hobson didn't lead those laps under the pace car, but as soon as we went green flag racing again, I mean, we'll run through the results and then we're going to replay of that little battle that we were watching between the Merchant and Lear before the that fight for 2 reasons. One from the mistake and then being out of fuel. Brenton Hobson, great drive from him. Lots up on screen. Hobson from Danson, Caleb Hydes, Dan Yeaman, Dan Stevens, Merchant. He's scrapped to boot. Ryan Jones next. Simon Mazzomo and Tim Corn rounding out the top 10 with a page on Jason Martin first. And he get ahead of Jaden Russell with an error on the last lap, as well as Matt Bailey. And our DNFs, Dylan Burst, Aaron Russell, Colin Bruns, Warren Phillips, Dave Douglas, Justin Out, as well of the race after his issues as well in one really entertaining race, Cam. I think we do need another look at that little incident at the end there between here and Demer.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's actually gone on there as to what may have transpired. Very, very fascinating to see what will happen. But nevertheless, it was a very, very good night of racing and some very, very close fights all night long.
100% here is the VRS replay. Still there. He just held on through this section. I'm surprised if I'm wondering if he hadn't even looked at his fuel. Because if he knew that he was short on fuel, wouldn't he give up the spot and then sit him behind and make sure that you don't lose the next spot? I'm a little surprised by that match, but I'm guessing he knew what he wanted to fight for and how much he wanted to fight. It was the mistake. He missed the apex at the start of turn 5, a little bit wide into the curve. Let the merchant through, but the merchant used too much curve through Moss. Let's listen for the run out of fuel. Where's the cough? There it is.
This is well and truly lacking in fuel, so
He mustn't have looked at it for him to cut out that early. Like, that's surprising.
yeah, very, very surprised. Well, considering the fact that none of the front guys ended up running out of fuel either, and they didn't take a stop, and they were only fuel saving, that's probably the bigger telling point as well.
Well, find out how tight the fuel was from our race winner. Congratulations, Hobbo Hobson. Race win. Talk us through good. I mean, led every lap except for the laps on the caution, but definitely wasn't as easy as it sounded when you say it like that.
No, it wasn't. These types of races are kind of a lot more difficult than they perhaps look like when you're watching, because you can't put a foot wrong. You sort of got to be committed and push as hard as you can without hurting the tyres, and any small mistake is a big mistake. So it is quite difficult to go lap after lap after lap without screwing anything up. And I did make a mistake. It almost cost me that race, and it's a shame that it ended the way it did, that fight, because it was really good fun. And it was a bit disappointing that it ended like that, but especially considering it was my mistake that sort of put us in that position to begin with. But nonetheless, it was a really good fun race. It was hard work though.
Talk us through fuel. How big of an issue was fuel, and how close were you in making it home in the end?
Fuel wasn't a problem once we got a caution. It was going to be a bit tight though before that, so I had it shut off pretty much the whole pace lap, and was expecting to have to save a bit to get there without a stop in that race. But the safety car sort of nullified that. It would have been a very different and equally as exciting race had it have stayed green, but sometimes that's just how it goes.
In saying that, if we did stay green, pit stop may have been an option in.
Not for me. I think people would have probably considered it, but I'd committed. I wasn't going to do it unless it got like desperate and it turned out that my fuel calcs were a bit wrong. But I sort of knew. I did a couple of laps in the warm up to know how hard I could go and how much I'd have to save. I was sort of probably maybe a lap short, full pace for 32 laps, but then there was also that pace lap as well. So I was going to have to save a bit, but over 30 laps, I felt like if I was smart about it, I could do it. But of course, you don't know. Like, I would have had people around me, potentially racing guys, and you can't afford to just give up a spot. So it might have been more difficult than it sounds, and it certainly would have been interesting.
Well, now that you're here as part of Scrap, are you going to stick around? Will we see you next week at Michigan?
Hopefully. It's depends on my work and stuff, really, more than anything. But yeah, I've freed up my Thursday nights at the minute to do this. So last week I was meant to be here for the race before it got postponed or cancelled. So I'll try and make all the races here throughout the rest of this season, and then beyond, if it continues to go, we'll see what happens.
Well, it's definitely going to continue. Don't worry about that. So we'll be back for another season after this one as well. So who would you like to thank before we let you go and a little bit of a nap and chill out?
yeah, the old joke, because I need a nap after that. That was hard work.
Don't worry.
Thanks to the team, SSR, and to Jaden, who's been running in this and quite successfully as well. And it was cool to be able to come in here and finally join him and have a race. And thanks to the sponsors on the cars and those that support the team. And thanks to the guys that run the series. Like it's new for me to be here, and it's cool to see a truck league that I can actually come in race. And of course to you guys for putting on a broadcast for it. And I want to just throw out a shout out as well to Dan and the Jackson family that had a rough day, and I just want to throw out a shout out to them as well.
Have race winner Brenton Hobson, and your why with our second place finisher Matt Danson.
Yeah, I certainly am stood by with second place finisher. Well, on the podium, and another good haul of points for you, Matt, towards the championship.
Yeah, that's a frustrating one though. It's one of those things where you don't mind to lose a race if you're just slow, but when it's right there, and I mean I got by just briefly, and then I was just a dummy. I put two wheels on the grass. Just in my mind, I was just giving Brenton, I should say, a bit of extra space just to gather it up, because I knew that he was loosey goosey through the kink, and just put the tires in the grass, then made myself loose, and so I'm almost wrecking on the backstretch. And then we had a nice little side by side, which was very respectful, very good racing through the last sector of the lap. And turn two, I just forgot how to drive it. I thought it might have been like a netcode situation at first, because it just all of a sudden just went. I just had no turning at all. But I think I just lost talent by the looks of things.
It had to look very, very strange and odd to see someone of your caliber off the road at that sort of corner. But obviously safety car, and there was some question over whether fuel was going to be okay to get home. Did you have to do any sort of fuel saving at all during the green flag running?
Well, I was hoping there wasn't going to be the yellow flag, safety car, pace car, whatever you want to call it, at the start there, because like you said, it was going to be pretty close. I'd spent the outlap, like the pace lap, I should say, fuel saving at that point, and it would have been interesting if we didn't have the safety car. It would have been really really close. But then once we had that safety car, it pretty much cancelled any real concerns. I was really surprised that the drop off in tyre wasn't really there. Like, I'm pretty sure we ended, what was my last lap? It was a 23.8. That was going a bit slow. So my lap before that was a 23.2, and that's only 7/10 off my fastest lap of the session. So yeah, I don't know. Normally these cars you have a lot more. So I was saving for the first 3/4 of the race, just chilling behind Brenton, waiting for hoping that he might use up his tires, but that never really happened. So then I had to sort of get wheeling towards the end, and almost had it. And that one stings.
And we saw your teammate Seth go into the pits and get some tyres as well under green to possibly try something different. Was there any sort of communication between you two? Was he sort of being a guinea pig, or was it just his own sort of strategy?
Yeah, Seth was going the Bottas strat, or actually probably more appropriate to be the Perez strat, just sacrificing his race in order to try and throw the other team. So I guess he said, I'm going to pit. And I said, oh, okay. I don't think you should. And he's like, no, maybe we might be able to bring some others. And obviously hoping that Brenton might take the bait, but he's too clever for that. And so he kept going. But I actually thought that he might be able to come back with those tires, because at that point in time, like, was still, I think that was like lap 14 or something that he pit. So I still expected that there might have been more drop off after that. But there just really wasn't. So, when you've only dropped off, less than a second throughout the whole race on the tyre, the freshies aren't going to do you much help. So, yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, because we probably could have had, a 2-3 kind of situation, or 1-3, or who knows, but well, that's racing.
well, we head to Michigan next week for the following round. But anyone you want to give any shouts and any thanks to?
Of course, yeah, we got the whole Logitech G Altus esports organization. So Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, Racetech Seats, Owned Live, and Sam Blacklock Media. Of course, shout out to you guys. I'm going to enjoy most of that broadcast, I feel, until about lap 20. What lap did I bury it up? Lap 28. I think lap 28 I might just skip. But then after that, I'm sure it will go back to being the A+, streaming broadcast that it is. So thank you to you guys, SimSpeed, everyone involved in that. AOG, yeah, hopefully I've hit every beat on that.
Well, thank you very much, Matt, and hopefully we see you on the podium once again at Michigan in the future. And Jay, I believe that you are standing by with our third place finisher, Caleb Pites.
I am indeed, Caleb. Congratulations on P3. You nearly lost that P3 position from Ken right at the end there, but managed to hold on. Congratulations on that. But talk us through the race. P3, it sounds like it was a fairly cruisy one on paper, but gee, you had to work your way back through the field after that lap 1 issue. Then some more issues trying to get back through the field.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, pretty happy with third, obviously. Quite a lonely race. Like, we were 18 seconds off at the end. But me and Daniel were near each other for most of the race. He got half spun at turn 1 and dropped back a little bit, but he came through the field quite quickly and he was up racing up with us. So I had a car behind me for basically most of the race. And I was just trying to manage that, stay ahead of him, just not make mistakes. Obviously, I think that was the one thing I didn't want to do this race coming in. I thought, it was going to be tricky, which it was, and I just didn't want to make any mistakes, and I didn't, so I'm happy with that. And to be rewarded with a podium, I'm pleased with that. So, yeah, it was fun.
Now, talk us through lap 1. What happened when you saw all the calamity happen ahead, and somehow you did manage to save it, but obviously there was a fairly big cluster of cars coming together behind you as well. In hindsight, you feel like you're a little bit lucky to get away with it as well as you did, considering how bad it was for others around.
Yeah, I had like Byron and Daniel spinning in front of me. I just took to the grass and luckily it was alright. I was scared I was going to get doored off and have a major shunt, but luckily it was alright and didn't get any damage. I think the tyres were fine as well. So yeah, that was good. Just got through and yeah, it was easy to just drive and be consistent throughout the whole race. It was a long race and managing tyres was really difficult, but we were able to do it in the end. So yeah, happy with that.
Yeah, congratulations on a great effort in P3 for this round. Anyone you would like to thank before we let you go and get yourself ready for next week at Michigan?
Yeah, just massive thank you to my team, Dropbo Motorsport. Big thank you to our team sponsors and Cozy Hybrid Racing Simulations, Sam Blacklock Media, and Revolution Race Gear. And big thank you to Strap for putting on the series and SimSpeed for putting on the broadcast.
There is your third place finisher and the last driver on the podium for this round, Caleb Hides. As we wrap it up, as we said, next week we head to Michigan for the 8th round of the season. A couple of rounds that haven't counted, but this will be the unofficial 8th round. I think it's 6 point scoring round. Michigan, though, is a very, very different and unique track. I really like it. A lot of drivers in between. Of course, we did run the old Michigan part of our warm-up, but the new Michigan, very, very different to the old one. So we're going to see a very, very different race to what we saw in that first test race.
It'll be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen in the next round at Michigan. Obviously, we saw what happened at the old Michigan, but the new one a little bit more paved and obviously newer. So it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what's going to end up happening and who's going to come out on top.
You can catch it right here on SimSpeed next Wednesday night, 9:05 Australian Standard Time. Cam, thanks for jumping in once again. We will see you next week. Thank you very, very much to everyone for watching what a race it's been at Mosport here on the road course. We'll get back to turning left next week. Head to Michigan for another 80 lap race here. This is Scrap. Big thanks to the guys at AOG and everyone behind the scenes for helping out. Series up and running. For the entire team, we thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?